Hi, I'm Rebecca Harris, and welcome to this edition of Faces and Places. Today we are at the Phenix City Police Department, and my special guest is Chief Ray Smith, and I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm happy that you're having me here at your office. We've got so many things going on here in Phenix City, and I just want to thank you up front here for your support that you give us when we do our special events. Our police officers are always there, right on time, and so polite. That's the biggest compliment that I get from the acts that come in to do the shows at the amphitheater. They're talking about how professional they are and how friendly they are, and what a beautiful little city we have. And so I want to thank you for providing that service.
I appreciate that. They have a good time and they enjoy doing it. It's actually a kind of a break from the normal everyday work that they have to do to be able to attend these events and work with Parks and Rec. And the concert series are just one of the highlights of their day. So that's something they don't have to work so hard at.
Well, I'm glad. Part of the reason that we do Faces and Places is because we want to give you the opportunity to get to know the people who work for the city. So, Chief Smith, I would like for you to tell us a little bit about yourself, but we want to start out with, where are you from?
Well, I was born in Fort Benning, Georgia. My father was a military at the time, and we settled here in Phenix City. My father went to work for the Russell County Sheriff's Department shortly after he got out of the military. I grew up most of my life here in Russell County, just north of Phenix City. I went to Chevala High School and graduated from there. Attended CVCC and Troy University, Phenix City campus. I joined the Phenix City Police Department in 1989, and I've been here ever since.
So I was just curious about, what age were you when you realized that you wanted to be in law enforcement?
Well, certainly it was a family tradition. My grandfather he worked for the U.S. Customs. I have uncles that worked for then it was the Border Patrol, now it's Homeland Security. Like I said, my father was military and worked locally for the Sheriff's Department. I initially had explored the Sheriff's Department, but because my father worked there, I applied at the Phenix City Police Department. My father had actually been a Phenix City police officer during the 1980s, 1980 and 81, before he went back to the Sheriff's Department. So I knew at a young age that law enforcement was something that interested me. I enjoyed talking to my dad about the cases that he worked and the things that went on in our community. It was something that appealed to me as something that I could be a part of the community and help the community. I even explored social work for a time, but I felt law enforcement was a better fit for me.
Well, I know that you're very active in the community too. And one of the things that Chief Smith does is work with us on the United Way campaign for the city, and you do an outstanding job with that.
Well, we enjoy the United Way campaign. The United Way is one of those organizations that really, in my line of work and working with the community, it just solves so many problems. It gives me access and resources that otherwise the government would have to take care of. From helping people find housing to assisting people with substance abuse issues. Any problem that we come in contact with, a lot of times arrest is not the solution.
Right.
We can make an arrest, but that's not going to solve the problem. It'll still be a problem after people get out of jail or go to court, and it really just ends up costing them more money. If we can find a solution, if we can find a way to make life better and put them on a path that makes them more contributing to the society, it not only works for them, but it works for us too, because that means that we have made friends and we can work with them to make our community better rather than just continuing to prolong the problem.
Well, I think you've done an excellent job in educating our employees here in the city about what United Way does, and I just want to thank you for that and all the hours that you spend doing that. And we raised over $90,000 this year.
We're really proud of that. We're a small workforce, 400 or so employees, but with those 400 employees, we was able to raise the most money ever with this $90,000. And those are going to go to agencies all across the Bi-City area. It's real important to realize that, Phenix City is not an island. We have a community, but we work closely with Columbus, Muskogee County, Russell County, even Lee County. I mean, there's needs that don't stay just inside our borders. They go across the river, or they go to Smith Station, or they go to Hurtsboro. We work closely with all of those agencies, and both government agencies, churches. Sheriff Taylor is just really a great resource too, and he works with the United Way as well. And by reaching out and working with the Child Advocacy Center, TEARS, I know I'm leave some out, the Rape Crisis Center. I mean, these are agencies that if we didn't have those resources available, we really would not be effective in doing our job and making our community better.
Right, and I totally get that, and then I want to thank everybody who contributed to our campaign this year. It was an amazing experience, and every year we exceed our goal, and it's been very exciting, and you're so easy to work with, and I just thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate it. We try to do our best. One of the things about being in law enforcement that you learn early to be successful is you have to connect with the community. You have to make sure that you know the needs of the community. Every community is different. Some communities need more attention on one issue. Other communities need different attention on issues. And if you know what issues need to be addressed, not only does it make sure that everyone knows in the community that you are part of the community. I live in this community. I raise my children in this community. They go to school in this community. They are part of the community. So I want the best for my children. I want the best for my neighbor's children. And the only way to do that is to find out what they need. And my needs individually may be different than your needs individually. And I have to appreciate that sometimes my needs are going to be different, and I may have to make some sacrifices to make your needs met. But I think once we get that community spirit going, I appreciate the mayor's leadership and just looking at the positive of everything. Yes, you may have a problem or an issue, but that problem or issue may in fact be just a problem or issue for you. It may in fact be a solution or a positive for somebody else in the community. And so if you look at it that way, what is this problem? Is it really a problem just for me? Or is it a problem for everybody? Or is it really just some inconvenience that I have to deal with for a short time in order to make other people's lives better? That's one of the things that you have to really keep a good perspective on.
Well, I know that you stay really, really busy. Can you tell me how many officers that you are over? Well,
we currently employ 86 police officers. We're still short, so if you're looking for a good career, we certainly are always recruiting. We encourage people to come down that want to make a difference in their community to come see us, apply for law enforcement. It's a great opportunity to serve your community. It's a great opportunity to make a good career. But currently we have 86 police officers. We have 12 dispatchers. We run the 911 dispatch center here locally that covers the Phenix City area. Russell County has a separate and duplicate 911 center that they run, and that's real important. A lot of communities have a combined center. Both of the 911 centers are run by the 911 board. We felt it beneficial to have two because if there's ever a problem, a technical problem, a weather event, something, a power outage, that kind of thing, we have the ability to partner with the second 911 center to move our dispatchers there, so it keeps the continuity of services available at all times. But we're a full-service law enforcement agency. We do criminal investigations. We work the traffic accidents. We answer minor complaints. We protect property and investigate any and all crimes that occur in our jurisdiction. Again, the great working relationship with not just the local agencies. We have a joint task force between Columbus, Harris County, Muskogee County, Russell County, and ourselves. We participate in the local Homeland Security team with Columbus. We have bomb techs on our force. We have K9 units that are available for those kinds of resources. We even have a couple of drones that we use for search and rescue, surveillance, any of those kinds of things. So we've got quite a bit of capability. We feel like that we've got a lot of technology, that we leverage that technology to help us do our job better. We have databases and computers that are connected constantly, not only in offices, but in the patrol vehicles themselves out and on the field. And those databases give our officers a wealth of information to be able to let us know if a person's got, what kind of history that person has, what kind of problems that may have been, or if somebody doesn't have any issues at all. And we say, well, that must be somebody that's doing it right. And we, of course, adjust our response accordingly based on that information. But really, information is probably the key aspect of law enforcement. The more information you have access to, the more likely you are to respond effectively and appropriately to any given situation.
Well, I know how busy you are, Chief, but if you wouldn't mind just taking us on a tour of the Phenix City Police Department and introducing us to some of the people on your staff, we would really appreciate that. So y'all come go with us and tour the Phenix City Police Department.
Well, the Phenix City Police Department Public Safety Building is actually housed at 1111 Broad Street. We actually have both administration of the police department and the fire department housed in the same building. Historically, police and fire have sometimes had conflicts, but we felt like that to avoid that, communication is key, so we have the administration for both police and fire within the same building. That allows me to reach across the hall and talk to the fire chief if there's any issues, and she can do the same for me. And that really makes a better working relationship all the way around. Chief Green, this is Chief Green, my assistant chief. She, of course, is the operations commander. She actually runs the day-to-day operation of the police department. First line of defense whenever it comes to problems. She's the one that solves those problems. This next office is my administration commander. This is Captain Witten. Captain Witten is responsible for the communications division as well as the records division and training. He does all three of those. Most of those things are services that are auxiliary to the police department. Patrol and CID are kind of generate the work. His division is the one that makes sure that work gets organized and categorized appropriately. All right. Thanks, Captain. And of course, here's and the fire chief's here visiting. This is my office manager, Angela. She was the one that keeps all the payroll and the bills paid throughout the police department. She works directly for the chief of police and maintains my organization and keeps me where I'm supposed to be with meetings and so forth. Thanks, Angela. My maintenance sergeant's not in right now, but he maintains all the patrol vehicles and equipment that is used on a daily basis in the department. Where I'm going to take you next is the records department and the 911 center. This is whenever you call the police department, that's the people you're going to talk to first is the 911 center. They take both emergency and non-emergency calls. We're just going to take a quick peek in there and you'll see some of the equipment that allows us to communicate effectively, not just with landlines, but with cell phones. We can type and text people and any number of things that you might find to communicate with them. And this is our command center, and we've got a couple of dispatchers working right now. This center is constantly operational 24 hours a day. As you can see, we've got video surveillance in several key areas of the campus here as well. Dispatch supervisors take your calls. They, of course, dispatch not just police, but fire and emergency personnel as well. When you call in, we have maps that show where the location is that we need to send assistance or resources, and they pick the resources that are closest by to send that out. This is the records department. Anytime that we generate a report, whether it's an incident offense report or an accident report, and you need to get a copy of that for insurance purposes to file with the insurance or to follow up on signing warrants or your court cases and those kinds of things, this is the window you'd come to, and these girls file the paperwork and make sure they're documented. Most of our reports start out on paper, but eventually they are all become digitized. They become PDF files, and that's how the records are now stored. They used to be stored paper, but now we're going almost all electronic. This is something I wanted to talk about. Is one of the things that is important for law enforcement is to maintain communication with our community. This is a special app that we recently went to. This application is available for both Android and Apple. So whatever device that you're using, you can go to either the Google Store or the App Store on your iPhone and search for Phenix City Police Department. You'll be able to download this app. It's a free app, and what that app does is it gives it, if we have notifications, alerts, anything like that, you can get those directly to your phone at any time that we push those out. You can also search for sex offenders in your area. If you need to find somebody specifically as an agency directory, it's got a place in there where you can submit a tip to us, a crime tip, anonymously. When you submit those tips, we don't know who you are unless you tell us, and that allows us to follow up on those crime tips anonymously, and we've been very successful in getting quite a few of those lately. We also put our press releases. You can file a traffic complaint. You also can connect to our Facebook page as well and see what's going on in our agency at any given time. So we encourage you, if you have an opportunity, to certainly download that app. We try to keep it up to date, make sure that anything that's going on in our community, that we communicate that with our community, to our public with that app. This next division is the Criminal Investigation Division. Like I said earlier, this is a full-service law enforcement agency, and so we investigate both misdemeanor crimes as well as felony crimes. All the felony crimes are investigated by the Criminal Investigation Division. Initially, a patrol officer may take a report, but if it's a serious case, a felony case, they're then transferred to the Criminal Investigation Division. And in the Criminal Investigation Division, an investigator is assigned, those cases are worked. Sometimes it may take months to clear a lot of these cases. Robberies, burglaries, homicides, any of those kinds of cases are worked by this division. But these are all the investigator offices up here. And the last division would be the patrol division. We'll take you down there and show you a patrol car. This is an important room in the police department. This is the briefing room. You may have seen a lot of TV shows where the morning briefing is given. We're no different. It's just like on TV. Every shift there is a meeting in this room, and the patrol officers, criminal investigation officers, they all meet together in this room and they discuss the cases that they had during the last shift, what things we need to be on the lookout for, what issues or problems that have developed over the last shift, and we basically make a plan to carry out the public safety services throughout the day. This is the place also whenever, if you're going to be out of town or if something's happened in your location, you want to call us and say, I don't have a problem right now, but I would like you to put a special watch on my house because I'm going to be out of town, or we've had a problem with this kind of thing going on in our neighborhood, make sure that we're aware of it. We use computers to track cases, and so when we see cases that occur, we have a map up here and we plot those out and we look for hot spots. That's one of the things that we do to direct our resources. Well, that's where that information is pressed out, is in this briefing room. This is the common area of the patrol division. This is where officers come in and finalize their reports that they may have started in the patrol car. Supervisors are housed in this area. You have the patrol captain, patrol lieutenant, patrol sergeant all work down in this area. Any evidence that we collect is on this side. We'll collect evidence from the scene from time to time and we'll place them in these lockers. So whenever evidence comes in, we'll tag it and bag it, as they say, and put this in the lockers, and that's what's held for whatever purposes, whether it's recovered property that is found or if it's evidence of a crime. Firearms that may have been recovered, drugs that are recovered, they're placed in these lockers and then they're sent to various places for testing, whether it be to a lab or to the ATF for gun traces in the case of firearms. So currently right now we are running 3 different types of vehicles. We're running the old Crown Vics, which are the older Fords. They don't make the Crown Vics anymore, so we've had to adapt and go to different types of police vehicles. We're currently running two different newer vehicles. This one is the Dodge Charger. It's specifically built for law enforcement purposes. It has bigger brakes, bigger alternators to try to run all the electronic equipment that we put in them. And the other vehicle is the Ford Explorer. Ford Explorer is also purpose-built for law enforcement. It has some of the same modifications, bigger brakes, bigger electronic components. We do have a couple of Tahoes in our fleet, but Tahoes are not really useful for city work. They are useful in more rural. I know the Russell County Sheriff's Office uses a number of Tahoes, but we found Tahoes are best suited for us for canine operations. What you see there is for a laptop computer. The laptop computer has currently been taken out. We take them out either to update them or to keep the heat off of them. But these modified vehicles have all the equipment that's necessary. They're basically just a rolling office. They're able to communicate with various agencies, Russell County, the Columbus law enforcement agencies through our communication system, which has been recently upgraded. We also can connect and communicate with various state agencies all across the state of Alabama. There's not a lot of room when people are taken into custody, but there's enough room that we're able to take them into custody. We protect the vehicles from damage from combative personnel or combative suspects, any number of things that may occur. Our goal is to make sure that we can take people into custody safely and get them, whatever help they need, whether they're going to jail or going to a mental health facility or any number of places that we may be taking them other than jail. But a lot of equipment, a lot of money goes into making sure that the officers have this equipment. Most of it's just safety equipment. Maintain connection to databases so that we know who we're dealing with, as well as make sure that we take care of the people that we take into custody, that they're able to be safely transported and not injured, and ensure their safety as much as ours.
Well, Chief Smith, I want to thank you so much for taking us on a tour of the police department, and I want to thank you and your officers for everything that you do to protect our community. And I want to let you guys know that if you need anything, you have any questions, I'm sure Chief Smith would be happy to speak with you. And again, I want to thank you for joining us today on Faces and Places, where you never know whose face you'll see or which place will be.
Thank you, Rebecca.